Hey everyone, Sandy here. I am here with another Disney Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party Parade layout. This is the Boo to You Parade, and these are some photos of the villains float. And I just pulled a whole bunch of stuff from my Disney stash and my regular stash. I pulled out a couple of border punches. This one's from Little B, and this one's from Fiskars. I also pulled out these little sparkly pumpkins that I've had from Recollections for a while. Burlap and gold tag, Disney title, some simple stories, Frankie and Friends Brads, bits and pieces left over from paper pads that I've had. I've got some simple stories enchanted wood veneer. I have this gold kind of glitter washi type tape. Some enamel dots that I still have going on. This nice sticker sheet that's almost gone. Does it give you guys as much satisfaction as it does me to have a sticker sheet that is completely empty? I get the biggest thrill out of it. And then just some bits and bobs from different places in my stash with little bits of paper and like some glitter paper. And then this is from the Echo Park Magic and Wonder. It is a sheet of the red and cream paper. I had some stars on this because I was going to do something with it. Lost this sheet of paper in the shuffle, and now it's just a plain red sheet of paper, and I'm probably going to cover up every single star on here. So let's get going. Alright, so I'm just taking out some stencils, and I decided to go with this little circle star stencil from Balls or Bits. And I'm just going to go ahead and use some of my Distress ink on this. And it's just in two places where it can poke out from the photos. I'm going to make the photos go across the page. And I decide to make it pop up just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and mat this paper onto a black sheet of cardstock. I really think that that black border around the edge helps the distress ink on the red page pop up a little bit. Now I'm going to grab my photos, and I'm doing one of my favorite ways to do a page with 3 photos, and that is straight across the page. And I just decide that I'm going to use the 2 photos with the float that you can see on the bottom on the left, and then the photo with the blank space on the right, because I want my title to be on that right hand side on the bottom, and I'm going to have it overlap the photo a little bit. So I had this sheet of yellow paper out on my desk. I just used it recently in a layout, and I thought the color's great. Didn't really want the arrows, so I went with just a very thin cut off of that to go across the top. And now I'm going to grab my border punches, and I'm using this Fiskars border punch. And when I first got this punch, I thought it was elegant and I could only use it on elegant pages. But I'm discovering that if I just let go of that line of thought and just go for it, I really enjoy what I come up with. So for this one, I am going to ink the edges just to give it a little bit more definition. And I cut it off at about 1 inch because I'm going to have something layer over the top. And man, look at that distress ink go. I wish I could ink edges that quick in real life and not just on fast forward. So I just make sure that it is going to be straight across the photo. And this time I butt it up against the photos. Sometimes I overlap, sometimes I tuck under, but this time I just decided to butt it up against it. And then I have this gold washi type glitter tape, and it's real pretty. It's actually more delicate than I thought it was. I go ahead and layer it over that brown thing, and see, it pops off and just stays right there on the table. Since it cut off on this side, I decided I should cut it off on that side as well and not wrap it around the back. And I really like it. It's not like in your face gold, but it also isn't like so subtle you can't tell that it's sparkly and gold. Because, I mean, let's face it, guys, Disney pages need sparkle. Alright, so I'm using this Little Bee ticket punch, and this is my only Little Bee punch that I own, and I gotta tell you, it's one of my favorites. It just punches so smoothly. I really like it, and when you pull the tickets apart, like the perforations actually perforate. It's really cool. So I was just showing you there that it actually perforates. So I ink the edges, and I decide that I'm going to put this up at the top, but I decide not to go all the way across the top of the page. And I just had to cut that yellow piece because it did not go all the way across the full 12 by 12 page. It's so close, but you know, I wish manufacturers would just make 12 by 12 papers, 12 by 12. Sometimes it's like 11 and 3/4, sometimes it's 12 and an eighth. They're just not all the same. So I decide to put that across the top there at a slight angle, and I'm using this green frame because I have green in the pre-made title that I'm going to use, and I feel like I need to bring some green up to the top. And this frame was actually a really thick chipboard frame that I pulled the chipboard layers off the back of it, and now it's just kind of like a thin paper frame. I knew I wanted to tuck it under. I wasn't going to be using it as a full frame, so I thought that that would be an easy way to get it to lay smoothly underneath the layers that I was tucking it under. And I'm pulling out these Simple Story brads, these Frankie and Friends. They are so cute, and I like this little banner. Now the center brad was kind of off a little bit, so I just wanted to straighten it up so that it would truly be in the center. And I pull out this burlap, that's gold burlap in case you were wondering. This burlap tag here, and I tuck it under the tickets. At first I was going to have it over the tickets, but I think it looks good under the tickets. And that tag string is just way too long, but I'm going to leave it for now because I'm not sure which way I want the tag strings to fall. Now that little gravestone marker was actually off that Frankie and Friends brad sheet. However, I wanted the brad off of it for a different page, so I just found another brad and pulled that out. And then I decide to bring in the pumpkin. I think that that would be an awesome addition to the little tombstone. So it still has that Halloween feel, but it's kind of cute because it's got a glitter pumpkin. And I really want to use this blue and gold piece, but I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it into a banner or what. And then I see that cut apart sheet and I think, oh, it's got the same thing as that brad banner that I just created. Would I rather use that? And no, the answer is no. So just using that Making Memories paper piercer, still in love with that thing, even though it's probably, I don't know, 15 years old or so, maybe even more. So I'm finally going to start messing around with the title, and this is a pre-made Disney embellishment. It says Dark and Devious, but I don't want it to just focus on like the villainous part of the villain float. I want to focus on the fun Disney aspect too. So I pull off these banners that spell out magic, and I'm just tucking them ever so lightly underneath of that craft border so that they're kind of sticking but not yet, so I can adjust them a little bit. And I do that famous tried and true method of sticking it to your arm while you're working with them. Right, and I just ink up the edges because they are bright stickers, and this is kind of a darker tone page. And I just alternate them, you know, so that they're not straight across. They are overlapping a little bit. And I just do a little bit of adjusting, and I'm happy with it. And I think that it's going to work. And I like the way the banners kind of nestle around that letter C. So I'm super happy with that. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and use this label sticker here, and these I got at the Target dollar spot when Halloween clearanced out, so they were super cheap. And then I'm just going to figure out how I want it to go, and I'm thinking I'm going to say dark and devious magic, but I decided in the end just to go dark devious magic. I think that works, even though there's not a comma there, which would make me happy if there was, but you know. So off screen, what I'm doing, oh, there I am. I went and grabbed a little bit of my washi tape that I keep to flatten down brad backs, and just flattened it down there. I didn't want to poke through because I knew I could get the placement exactly where I wanted it here. But if I had to poke through, it might not nestle exactly the way I had it. So I'm happy with that, and I think, oh, I do have that green frame up there, but I'm going to bring up these little curlicue things. So I cut one in half and tuck it under the tombstone so it just is at the base of that ticket. And then I tuck one over the ticket as well and have it curlicue around it. And then I think I'm finally making a decision about this little paper. Nope, I just put it to the side. So I pull out these Simple Stories stars, little wood veneer stars, and there's like star shapes and wonky star shapes. And I really like the wonky star, but it's the only wonky star I have. Everything else are these very linear, symmetrical star shapes. And then, ooh, broken piece. And then I see this wand, and I think this is perfect. It should go right here with the title. So I'm just messing around, deciding exactly where I want the stars to go, where I want to nestle two of them together, or if I want just a single star there. So I just use my ATG for this. I know that a lot of people use liquid glue to put down their wood veneers, and sometimes I do too. The truth of the matter is the Tombow Mono Multi was across the room and the ATG was right there. And I know for a fact my ATG lasts, and I know that it sticks to that burlap gold tag up there because I've used wood veneer on top of those tags on a layout in the past. So I wasn't worried about it unsticking or falling off. Alright, so I'm happy with that, and I decide that that string is just a little bit too long, so I cut off about 1.25 inches, and I'm back with that little piece of gold foiled blue paper. And I decide that it's just going to be a little layer under there. It's not going to be a banner or have anything fancy for it. And I like the little touch of gold that it brings up there. So then I'm going to try some enamel dots, and they don't work out. I'm not happy with it. I think the white is too stark. I like the little black ones, but I only have 2 of the teeny little black ones, so that's not going to be enough to sprinkle across the page. And I try some down here too at the title, and it's just not working for me. And then I think, oh, this little ticket could go because I have the tickets there, but nope. That's not working for me either. So I pull out my gold Heidi Swapp Color Shine, and I think we'll just do a little bit of splatters. And the splatters are going great. Got a little bit on the photo, but I find if you just wipe it off quick enough, you don't even have to worry about it. And then there's this huge, huge blot right there. And I just use a little bit of paper towel to soak some of it up. And it's just a little sparkly bit. And then I'm just going to write a few lines down there about how this is one of my favorite parade floats. And then I'll be finished. Now, it would have been smarter to write the journaling and then splatter, but I'm careful enough and I don't smear anything on the bottom, so that's a huge plus. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you tomorrow with another video for the video a day in July.